Ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, really grateful to have you now, not just as a sharing of the music, but you as a teacher of Prosad. And you all heard Prosad teaching and sharing music. And I'm sure you'll give us an introduction to your teacher and what you're here to share. But so much of what Prosad has been studying in music has also been accompanied by studies in yogic knowledge and Vedic culture, and how to apply these in a way that I think is very much rooted in the human desire to create and manifest the life that it wants, and ideally align with principles that ensure that that creation is for the good of all. So let's do that.
Beautiful. Well said.
You want to join? You want to hear? You got invited, Dr. Scott? Okay, come on in. That's why there was an extra one. Yeah. No. Oh, that's up to him. Is it okay if she lays down? Or?
Sure. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start today with a meditation. I have a rough plan, and at the same time, it's going to be spontaneous, and we'll see which way it goes. So I'm here to serve you and hopefully deliver some value to you today that you can take with you and apply to your life. So I want to start today. Normally I do this with one ice cube, but it's quite hot here, so I brought 3 just as a backup. And this was a beautiful meditation we used to do with my teacher, who is the author of this book, Ancient Secrets of Success, which a lot of today is going to be based on. And I used to sit quite often at his feet and listen to him teaching. And we would often start with a meditation of the ice and the water. And so the water represents your consciousness, your spirit, or the absolute, the consciousness of God or the universe. And the ice represents the individualized self, which feels separate. But as you meditate more and more and more, the ice becomes the water. So you'll see, and you don't really have to do anything for this meditation. It's a really beautiful meditation you can do at home. Just put a glass of water and put 1 ice cube, and then just out of the corner of your eye or not, you just watch it melt. And then at some point you'll see that actually there's no difference between the ice cube and the water. The water and the ice are the same. And so it is with us. We feel that our individualized consciousness, our mind, our soul, is separate from the Creator or God or consciousness, whichever word you like to use. But it's not. It's just in a different state. And through meditation, we melt that ice and we realize our oneness with the water. So we'll watch it melt on the side. And today I wanted to talk about why we're doing this. Why we're doing this. Does anyone have any feeling, like just a few people, by just put up your hand and say, like, why are you taking the yoga teacher training, and why are you here, and what is your goal to get out of this? Anybody? Don't be shy.
I'm doing it because I want more and more freedom in my life.
Beautiful.
Freedom from my own suffering.
Beautiful. Anybody else? Just throw it out. Don't be shy.
Say vocation. I don't know.
Vocation? Like your purpose?
It's not. I didn't choose to do it. It kind of came to me. So it's kind of a meeting, natural meeting.
So would you say you feel an urge, some sort of internal urge to do it?
Yeah. Once since I met yoga. Yeah. It was a much beautiful meeting.
And what do you hope to get out of the yoga teacher training?
From this particular.
Yeah.
Well, learn more. Learn about the yoga, complete yoga, in its globality, not only one specific area or two, and understand more about myself.
Okay.
In order eventually to help better others.
Yeah. Beautiful. Anybody else?
Well, there's almost this unquenchable thirst for knowledge that keeps me going, and then in this particular context, also to serve and to share the information or the medicine that has kind of saved my life. So, yeah, self-perpetuating.
And for me, it's about, on a personal level, about personal evolution. It's also something, a path I want to bring to my family, that we need. My family needs it. And then at a larger level, then as a therapy, yoga as therapy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. One more. Anybody?
So when I read the informational packet about this training, something just called me to it. Couldn't really put into words what it is. I was drawn to it. And like since being here, it's something that I want to bring back to my daily life, make it a habit, and then share it with those loved ones that are open enough to receive. Because I want to share it with so many people, but as I'm like delving in, I understand that not everyone's ready for it. So I want to find those that are ready for it. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So, one thing that I want to talk about today is forming a vision for when you leave here, okay? Because I think that there's a big difference between getting inspired for something and loving it, but then what do you do with that? How do you take that into the world and build a vision with that? And I want to empower you with some tools so that you can create a vision out of this yoga teacher training and build something in your life. And we often will build a vision based on our conditioning, based on our past experience and our memory. And the purpose of my workshops is to give you some tools to build a vision from the absolute, from a place of pure imagination, of pure spirit. And so it's not regulated or moderated by thoughts of limitation, anxiety, doubt, but rather it's purely coming through spirit. And we often get these inspirations or these channels, and then our mind will say, no, that's not possible. And it will alter the vision, it will lower it. It will say, like, if I have a vision to play in a stadium or stadiums across the world singing like Ram Ram Sita Ram, some part of my mind will say, oh no, that's too big, that's too crazy, how are you going to do that? You don't have a record deal, you don't have enough money, you don't have this, you don't have that. But this whole practice is about transcending that limitations of the mind and putting the heart back in control, or the consciousness back in control. But there's a strategy on how to do that. And so today's class, we're going to talk a little bit about the theory, because the mind needs a little convincing. If you want the mind to believe in a vision that comes from pure spirit or pure imagination, it needs a little convincing. It has resistance, and we have some skaras, and we have trauma, and we have past conditioning, and we have all these things, even cultural conditioning. And we need to overcome some of those things in order to be truly free and create a vision from our heart. And the other side of that is sometimes we don't even know what our vision is. And that's a big problem. Like, we don't know what we want, or what we want has been conditioned for us by our parents, our family, our school, our society, our teachers, and often people that are very well-meaning. But is it our vision, or is it something that was given to us, right? So in order to like really go inside and find out what is my vision, first you have to remove the barriers. So it's a question of, if I truly understand that I have this connection to the absolute, to the, see how the ice is melting? to the ocean, and I'm the wave. Once I start to realize that all of that power is there to support me, then I start to think bigger. I start to see that bigger things are possible. And then that allows my imagination to open up to bigger ideas and bigger inspirations. But otherwise, I'm not really creating, I'm constructing. I'm recycling my past karma. So it's like all of my previous thoughts, memories, and actions are just being recycled, and I'm calling it creation, but it's not really creation, it's just repackaging the old. And so I'm stuck in a karmic cycle of I'm not actually innovating into the new, I'm just repeating the old. And we want to break out of that cycle, and we want to find the connection to our heart so that we can ask some really honest questions. And so between this session and the next session, I'm going to get you guys to do some journaling, okay? So I'm going to write a few things for you. So what is the purpose of this workshop? Okay, so we have to know why we do a thing. Otherwise, there's no point. So number one is to form a vision. Okay, to form a vision for our life. Then two is to realize I'm just going to shorten it, who we are. Because we often identify with the personality, the mind, the samskaras, the patterns, and we don't really understand who we are. So if we realize that we create from the absolute, not the relative. So we're going to talk about this today. We create from the absolute, not the relative. Right now, we may be creating our lives from the relative, and we want to break out of this karmic cycle. Okay? And number three, to set goals from the heart. The mind is meant to be the helper of the heart, but the heart's meant to be the one leading the way. So I want you guys to journal these 3 questions. So we'll come back to this. This one is a big one. And it's really overlooked. It's what do I really want? And I have found that this question is one of the best compass for almost any situation. This is where self-honesty comes in. If you're not honest with yourself, you can't really answer this question. So there's, what do I really want in my life? What do I really want from this experience? But also in individual situations, you have to ask yourself, what do I really want? And you have to be very honest about this. Then this one is a really good one too. Why do I do? Oops. The things I do. We take it for granted often. But when you really ask yourself this question, you have to really do some deep soul examination. Why do I do the things I do? Why do I, like for me, why do I want to be a musician? Why do I want to play big shows? Why do I want to record an album? These are like hard questions. Is it for my ego? Is it for fame? Is it for sense gratification? Is it to help other people? But you have to be honest. The self-honesty is so important in this. And you have to really examine, like, why am I here? Why am I on the earth? Why did I come to this yoga retreat? What do I hope to get out of this? Why do I do the things I do? And then the third one is, this is the question of lifelong. This is the self-examination. Who am I? Where did I come from? Forgive my writing. And Where do I go from here? You have to know who you are in order to answer these other questions. Okay? So I'm going to just leave those with you, and we're going to come back to that. But we're starting with the purpose of why we're doing this before I go into like lofty explanations of spiritual concepts. The question is why? Why are we doing it? Okay? And my answer is so that you can form a vision and manifest a vision so that you can realize who you are, create from the absolute, and create the life you want based on spiritual principles, and then help others. So the process of self-realization and creating your own reality are interconnected, because when you start to realize who you are, you start to realize how much power you have to create. Okay? Is there any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. I'm going to start with a story then. So this is a story that my teacher's teacher told him, and it's about how we often sabotage our own success in life. So there was a very poor villager, and he was living off in a faraway village in the Himalayas. And one day a master came into the village, and he saw him in his little shop. And the storekeeper came out to the master, and he said, he was just so grateful. He said, Master, come stay at my home. I'll take care of you as best I can. And he did. He took care of him for 3 days. And he did his best even though he didn't have much. And the master was grateful, and at the end he fell at the master's feet and he said, you can see I don't have anything. Can you just bless me that, I'll find some abundance? And the master said, I'll do better than that. I'll give you this stone. And this stone, anything you touch, if you touch this stone to iron, it will turn it to gold. And I'll leave this stone with you for 3 months, and you can be as rich as you want to be. And so the storekeeper was just ecstatic, and he was happy, and he fell at the master's feet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so the master goes away for 3 months. And he lives in a very remote village in the Himalayas, and there's only a market bazaar once a month. And so the first month he's just humming with excitement, and he makes the long journey walking through the heat, through the mountains, all the way to the bazaar. And he goes to buy some iron, and he's very poor, he doesn't have much money. And he goes up to the iron merchant and he says, how much is your iron? I'm going to buy all of it. I'm so excited. And the iron merchant kind of looks at him and says, well, actually, the price has gone up. It's actually just doubled. Now it's 9 rupees for 1 kilogram. And he says, what? You doubled the price? You must know something, you know how much I want this. And he said, I'm not going to let you have the better of me. I can wait it out. I'll come back next month when you come to your senses, and I'll buy the iron. And so he goes home, still poor. Little did he know how much just 1 kilogram of iron could have changed his life. But he goes home, he storms off, and he goes back. And next month he makes the same trek again, and he's like, okay, now he'll have come to his senses. And he comes up, and the iron merchant sees him, and he starts laughing, and he says, oh, you should have bought it last month, because now it's 18 rupees a kilogram. And this is just making him so mad. His ego is just getting like, you will not get the better of me. And so he says to him, there's no way you're going to get the better of me. You're into profiteering, and you're trying to take advantage of me. And so he says, forget it. I'm nobody's fool. I'll wait it out, and I'll come back next month. So he goes home, again, still poor. And he comes for the 3rd month. And this time it's even worse. The iron merchant is just laughing. He's like, oh, you should have got it last month, because now it's 27 rupees per kilogram. And this time the storekeeper is just enraged. He's just so upset. And he says, there's under no circumstance are you going to get the better of me. And he just marches off, and he forgets all about his purpose. He forgets that he has the stone. He just forgets everything. And he just goes home, and he's like, no one's going to get the better of me. No way. I have my pride. And he goes home, and he forgets all about it. And like he just forgot that he only had the stone for 3 months. And so the master comes back after 3 months, and he's looking for like a big store, all lit up, all rich and shiny. And all he sees is the same hovel. And he comes to the storekeeper and says, "What happened? Like, I gave you the stone, like you should be rich." And he said, "Yes, I know, master, but the iron merchant was trying to take advantage of me, and I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't let him get the better of me." And he said, "Well, that's all very well, but I need to go on my way, and I need my stone back. So you have to give the stone back now." And so he gives the stone back, and the master goes on his way, and he's still poor, and he never changed. And the story is an allegory for our lives. The three kind of periods of our lives, of youth, middle age, and old age. And we have these like 3 periods in our life where we have a chance to take our consciousness, which is our touchstone, and create whatever we want. And if we let our ego get the better of us, we miss that opportunity. And we never actually like do what we were meant to do. We never actually build or create what we were meant to create. All of us have some sort of dream or purpose or reason, something our heart wants to, an urge in our heart that we want to create, but we let our ego sabotage it. So if you find yourself in that situation, then just remember that story. It's a hard-hitting one, you know, because life goes by fast. Okay, so let's talk about setting goals. We often think of success as setting and achieving goals. But true success is actually the ability to set goals from the absolute or from the heart, as I talked about in the beginning. And all desire originates from a sense of lack. But normally what we do is we try to fill that sense of lack with our mind. We say, okay, I have these resources, I have these people, I have this much money, so this is what I can do with my current circumstances. And we try to construct something on the way to that goal. But that creates a lot of suffering and resistance and struggle, not to mention that we often lower our goal, we moderate our goal into something smaller to fit that. So if the desire that we have in our heart doesn't fit the conditions of our current circumstances, we often just reject the desire outright. And then we carry a sense of inadequacy. Like, I know I can relate to that when I was playing music. If I had a desire to reach a certain stage with my music, or as an artist or a singer, that my heart wanted that, but my mind said, oh, you're not a good enough singer, or you're not a good enough producer, or whatever the case is, whatever your dream is, then if you moderate that desire and you make it lower, and you say, well, I'll aim lower, inside you always have this sense of pain, of inadequacy, that you feel, I didn't live up to what my heart knew I could actually do. And it haunts you. It just haunts you your whole life, you know? So it's better actually to get in the ring and try and fail than it is to like lie to yourself. And I think we often do that. We like lower our vision because we're afraid of taking the risk and failing, or we're afraid of facing the pain of like, I want to be here and I'm here. And that seems like too great of a leap. And so we lower the vision and we lower the desire, but then inside we feel inadequate. And you see that all the time, you know, when people gave up on a dream, then they are the ones that criticize others the most, that are going for it, you know? Like the music critics are the ones that criticize the musicians because they weren't out there. You know, there's a beautiful poem called The Man in the Ring. I think it's by Roosevelt. Do you know it? I'll look it up at the end because it's absolutely fantastic. But he basically talks about how, you know, the crowd, he's talking about a boxing match, and the crowd can easily judge and say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. But they're not the person in the ring fighting the battle, you know? And so this is like a call to get into the ring, to get into your personal ring. Okay, what is my battle against my own limitations? Here's my dream, here's my limitations. And
would you like it?
What's that?
I found it.
Oh, sure, yeah, read it, it's really good.
Okay, it's actually, it's a message that you wrote. You said, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena. whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
I love this so much.
What's the name of it?
Sorry?
The Man in the Arena.
The Man in the Arena.
Yeah, yeah. And is it by Roosevelt? It's by, I think it was one of the presidents. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, I was talking to my teacher the other day. I speak with him often, and he talked about how, you know, we come into this play of life, this Maya, because we want a good challenge, you know. Yeah, like if we truly know who we are, if we follow, you know, we reverse the flow of the senses and we go inside and we experience our consciousness, we are one with the absolute consciousness. But we chose to come in and experience this limitation. And he said, why? Why do we do it? He said, well, think about like kids when you play a game. The game isn't fun without a challenge, you know. If you're going to play a game, you need a team to play against, and you need a struggle, and you need a battle. And it's the same. We came in to battle with ourselves, to overcome our limitations, and to experience the ecstasy of overcoming those limitations. Finding out who we are, and winning our own battle of life. Creating our own vision, finding our heart's desire, and like realizing it, and feeling the ecstasy of going from living in limitation to transcending that limitation and realizing who we are, and creating as gods and goddesses, right? So the struggle is part of it. And in my experience, the limitations and the struggles that you face are usually the same ones that, by overcoming them, will transform you in the way you need to be transformed. So it's like, you know, often you'll get a dream and you'll get a limitation with that dream. It's like, I wanted to sing, and in the beginning I was a terrible singer, like terrible. But there was something about what I had to go through to not give up, to become a good singer, that transformed me in the process. So it's not about you just already good at the thing. Very often I find you're going to get a desire, and then right away you're going to get an obstacle that seems to be like in great opposition to the thing you want. And that's the greatest blessing, because actually what it's doing is transforming you to become the person you need to be in order to manifest that desire. And where does desire come from? Like, what is desire? Like, suppose you have a desire, I have a desire to play to big crowds. Well, you have to ask yourself why. And at the core of it, the best reason is for a feeling. I want to feel what that feels like. I want to feel the ecstasy of sharing love and beauty and music with thousands of people. Or even if you want to be rich, there's people that want to be rich because they are afraid of poverty. And that manifests as greed. It's like, I'm afraid and I want security, so I'm going to take, and I'm going to try to get as rich as possible. But that's not riches. Riches is when you live in abundance, and when you feel I have everything I need. And so what are you looking for? You're looking for the feeling, right? And so we sometimes go through that struggle with the mind, but we want to end up in that place where we're living in our own kingdom of heaven. We're living in our own feeling of the life that we want to be in. Do you understand? Yeah.